depositories and contracts for banking services.
Chair recognizes Councilor Felix Arroyo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm proud today to have authored and to file our Invest in Boston Ordinance. As we all know, we are in the midst of the worst economic recession of our lifetime. People are losing their jobs, can't find work. Families are losing their homes. And not only are many of these families now leaving the city, or worse yet, just outright homeless. Neighborhoods are left with vacant buildings that can very easily and have become, at times, dens of criminal activity. New families and first-time home buyers can't access the credit they need to buy homes. And after touring over 20 various small business districts in the city of Boston, I noticed that our small business districts, they have more empty storefronts than in recent memory. And hearing from small business owners, I've heard firsthand the difficulties they're having accessing credit to expand their businesses or to simply keep their business afloat. We heard from them that they're actually using their credit cards to continue to do that work. Credit cards that at times are charging over 20% interest. When we live in a state where the usury loss is 18%, but because they're chartered in another state, they could just supersede that and charge in the 20%. And we all know people who have those credit cards. Some of us have them ourselves. What we do know is that every time a bank lends $80,000 to a small business, just $80,000, they create a job. A job is created. The fact is that we're in this economic recession. Most economists, left, right on the political spectrum, will agree that we can't get out of this recession without cooperation of our banks. Frankly, it's the least the banks can do, because every single taxpayer in this country bailed out those very same banks. With the understanding, this isn't a question whether or not you agreed with the bailout. The understanding was that they would become whole, and in that process, they would go back to performing the role that we expect banks to play in our economy, a key role that they should play. Yet while Wall Street was bailed out, every single person in this room knows that main streets, streets in our neighborhoods, they haven't seen that yet. They haven't seen that bailout. So this ordinance, what we filed today, is going to revise the way we do our banking in the city of Boston. Currently, we do some very good things in our RFP process. We make sure that the bank is a bank that's sustainable, a bank that can handle the capacity of the work that we're asking them to do, a bank that if we ever need to draw out our investment, we can do so. I'm not asking to change any of that. That's still here. We're just adding to it. And when I say we're adding to it, so people understand the level of investments we make in banks, as of December 31st of 2009, we had $1.1 billion in various financial institutions. You heard that, $1.1 billion at the end of 2009. So we want to tell banks to gain access to those funds now is that they have to prove that they're investing in our city. What's proving investing in our city? They have to lend to homeowners. They have to participate in refinancing loans so that people aren't stuck with the balloon interest rates that they've had, but can take advantage of the low interest rates we have today. Lending to small businesses so that they can continue to grow and expand, so that we can have them creating the jobs we need them to create. Invest in development projects so that the men and women in the trades can get back to work, doing what they do well in this city. We all know why Filene's basement is still a hold. The investment got pulled out. That's why. People are looking to point fingers, but at the end of the day, the investment got pulled out from under it. We should reward a bank that's willing to invest in that project. And that follows state usury laws. Because frankly, there's really no excuse to charge over 18% interest. That's a good interest rate to charge. And that implement foreclosure prevention programs so that we don't have the massive amount of foreclosures, more than we've ever seen before in any of our lifetimes in this city. And in that moment that they have to do the foreclosure, that they follow just cause. And that the occupants of those buildings are only evicted under just cause. That if they're willing to pay rent, that their rent is accepted, so we don't have a vacant building in our city. This ordinance also creates a municipal banking and community investment commission. One currently exists. It's called the Municipal Banking Commission. But we found in an earlier hearing that we haven't appointed people to that commission in a long while. It hasn't met in a long while. And so we took this as an opportunity to really revise that commission. And in the ordinance, as you look it through, you'll see we're looking for a commission with 10 members, but 7 voting members, 3 ex officio, some folks from the council. The mayor will be appointed collector treasurer. According to this, the mayor will still appoint 6 of those 7 members. And they'll look over the applications and make sure that they're following these things through. The commission will be transparent. They'll hold their meetings in public. They'll release their reports to the public so that there's no questions to which banks are investing in our city and which ones are not. I look forward to working with my colleagues, with each and every one of you on this ordinance. I look forward to working with the administration, as I've already been doing, working with many of you and working with the administration already to get to this point. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank the organizations that have worked with my office to get us to this point, some of whom are here today. You already mentioned that the Greater Boston Labor Council is here, SEIU is here, City Life Vida Urbana is here, Community Labor United is here, Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance is here, the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization has been working on this with us, Mass Community Action Network is here and been working on this with us. Not here right now, but also been a part of this, the Greater Boston Legal Services, Boston Community Capital, and the Jewish Community Relations Council. And the group's going to continue to expand. And if you see by our list of groups, every one of us in this room has worked with those organizations. They all have different interests, but we share one thing in common, and that is that we believe that Boston's money should be invested in the banks that invest in Boston.